Hello folks, welcome to another edition of Time About the Movies. We're looking at the second weekend of December 1989, December 8th, and we've got 4 movies to look at today. 2 of them are dark comedies, 2 are movies you may have not have heard of, but they came out on this date, so we're going to briefly talk about them. So let's go ahead and start off with the first movie on here, probably the most notable of the newest releases that came out this weekend, and easily the best one of the bunch. It's Danny DeVito directing The War of the Roses. Making this the third pairing of Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito after they worked together on Romancing the Stone and The Jewel of the Nile. This is based off of a book by Warren Adler, which basically takes a look at 20th century divorces. And basically what you have here is the trailer pretty much shows you. You have a wealthy couple, they have probably the perfect marriage, but slowly but surely it begins to fall apart, and what we end up getting is one of the most bitter divorce battles you'll probably ever see. And maybe one of the craziest dark comedies ever made. Like, really, this is probably one of the great dark comedies ever made. It really is dark, twisted, insane, but I friggin' love this movie. I mean, I really do love this movie. I love Danny DeVito's sense of humor and black comedy that's in this movie. Because he worked together with Douglas and Turner already, his chemistry with these two just works so well. Every time they are on, every one of them's on screen together, the chemistry just works. The comedy just works so well, and like I said, it's not afraid to go over the top and seriously dark, but it just works on so many levels. It's one of the most brutal, funniest comedies you'll ever see. That just says, you know what, screw it, we're gonna go all out, especially towards the end of the movie, where you have this big battle between Douglas and Turner, and just goes so insane and over the top, and has an ending that people at the time thought was way too dark because they wanted the happy ending. But that's just a great thing about Danny DeVito. It's just like, sometimes you can't have the happy ending. You got to show them reality, even though the way this movie ends is insane. But in a sense, it makes a lot more sense than a legitimate happy ending does. But I won't spoil it here, but if you know what I'm talking about, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, The War of the Roses. What really more can I say about it? It's one of the most brutal, insane, dark, sadistic black comedies you'll ever see. It's one of the great black comedies you'll ever see. And it's Danny DeVito doing what Danny DeVito does so well as a director. He's not afraid to take these things to extreme levels and just go all out. And this is him probably at his peak doing that. And, if you haven't seen it already, I'd say definitely check it out. If you want a good dark black comedy about divorce and like how bittering couples going back and forth that actually is entertaining, this is the movie for you. So there's that. So this is The War of the Roses, and like I said, great film. So let's go ahead and move on to the second dark comedy that came out this weekend, but didn't meet with as much success. Meryl Streep and Roseanne Barr in She-Devil. So this is Susan Seidelman's second comedy she directed in 1989. We've already looked at one of her other movies, Cookie, which had some potential but didn't work out so well. You pretty much could say the same thing about this movie here. I mean, when you really look at what you have here, you've got Meryl Streep, who was one of the top actresses at the time, one of the most nominated, most acclaimed Oscar-winning actresses at the time, and you put her together with Roseanne Barr, who was one of the biggest TV stars at the time with her show Roseanne. Put them together, you should have had something incredible here. But really, because War of the Roses came out on the exact same day, this movie just really did not... It didn't really... I don't think it really met the success factor that they were hoping for at Orion Pictures when they put this movie out. It's not a bad movie. It's not a bad idea either. There's a potential there for some really good comedy here. There are bits in here that are funny here and there, but I think for the most part they played a little bit too safe for its own good. I like the performances from Streep and Barr. I like Ed Begley Jr. in this. Also, you have Sylvia Miles and Linda Hunt. But yeah, like I said before, because War of the Roses came out, and I think that was a better black comedy than what this movie was trying to be. I think this one got pushed under the rug, but War of the Roses ends up being the better film. And it really is the better film. I think this movie could have almost... if they had just gone the insane route that something like War of the Roses did, maybe it would have been good, but I think they were just trying to make it safe and marketable because of Roseanne's popularity at the time. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about this one. It's not a bad movie, but it could have been a whole lot better. I feel like with a better script, this maybe could, and more emphasis on going for more of the darker black comedy, you probably could have had something here, but for the most part, it's just a run-of-the-mill movie. Not something I'd rush out and see again, but I mean, it's okay for what it is. It could have been a whole lot better. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Triumph of the Spear. Capping off a pretty good second half of the decade for Willem Dafoe, who was just starting to grow into his own. He had started the career off early on with Heaven's Gate, but he was fired during the production of that movie. And then his first actual leading role wouldn't come until 2 years later. But he also did stuff like Streets of Fire, To Live and Die in L.A. He got an Oscar for Platoon. He was Jesus in Martin Scorsese's Last Temptation of Christ. He was also in Mississippi Burning. And this was the last movie to end the decade for him. And it's needless to say, it certainly is no Platoon, and it certainly isn't another Rocky movie, even though there is a good story here to tell. This is a story about this takes place during World War II. It takes place during the Holocaust. The majority of the film is set in the German Nazi death camp, and it just shows how this boxer was forced to fight for the SS Guards entertainment. And like I said, it really doesn't do anything special or anything interesting to make it stand out on its own. It's got a great cast here. You've got Edward James Olmos, Robert Loggia, Costas Mandylor, but for the most part, the movie is just kind of, I won't say it's bad, it's just kind of like, okay, what do you do? Okay, this isn't bad, but give me something to really get invested in this. I mean, I need a hook. I need something to get me to be like, okay, there is value here, and I just really couldn't find it in this movie. I mean, it does try its best, but it's just kind of like, it's like She-Devil. It's like, kind of run-of-the-mill, nothing too crazy, nothing too spectacular or anything, but it's there, it exists. Probably won't ever watch it again, but let's go ahead and look at the last movie, and the last movie is Fear, Death, and Anxiety. I can't remember if that's actually the name. Let me double-check. Fear, Anxiety, and Depression. That's how you know we're off to a bad start. Okay, I might be over-exaggerating a little bit here, but this is actually the first film directed by Todd Solondz, who would have much better success with his next movie, which would be Welcome to the Dollhouse 6 years later. But I mean, honestly, I haven't seen this movie before, and I couldn't even find a real trailer for it. That clip I just showed you was just a trailer somebody had put together online, but I mean, it doesn't, like I said, I haven't seen it before, and I might have been a little bit too harsh on it at first, but I mean, from a little bit I've seen from it, it doesn't really look like there's not that much there to it. I mean, it looks like an independent movie. Most of the people in the leading roles I've never seen before, even though Stanley Tucci is in this movie, and I think this was one of his earliest film roles, if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, though, there's not really a whole lot there to talk about here. Maybe there could have been something, maybe there's something here that I'm not seeing, but it's not something I'd rush out to see at any point. But just wanted to let you know that it existed, it came out, so there you go, Fear, Anxiety, and Depression. And with that said, that's going to wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time around, we've got 7 movies to look at. All of them have notable elements to them. We've got The Wizard with Fred Savage in the first Nintendo motion picture attempt. Family Business with Dustin Hoffman, Sean Connery, and Matthew Broderick. We're No Angels with Robert De Niro and Sean Penn. Blaze with Paul Newman and Lolita Davidovich. The year's Oscar winner for Best Picture, Driving Miss Daisy. We also have the picture Glory, which won Denzel Washington an Academy Award and also featured Matthew Broderick. And also Enemies, a Love Story. So 7 movies to look at next time around, and all of them pretty notable. So we'll definitely dive into those next time around. So thank you guys for watching. And as always, if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next video. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and until then, take care.